Hi, this is Jen Snyder Gibson, and we are coming to you from the BrandBuilders studios in Charlotte, North Carolina with the Breakfast Club Beat. Welcome to a very special edition of the Breakfast Club Beat, and we are at the BrandBuilders podcast world headquarters, and this is going to be fun today. Guys, this one's totally unscripted. I'm not sure where we're going to roll with this, but Scott Dunstan and Brian Young have been so gracious to let the Breakfast Club Beat kind of invade and take over their space a little bit and share their podcast Palooza studio with HHBC. So thank you.
You're welcome.
You're very welcome.
But this is weird to be at this end of the table.
I know, right? It's like, I know. I felt like I was cheating or something. I walked in and I was like, I'm on the wrong side of this one right now.
No, you're on the right side.
That's right.
And we're on your side.
Always.
Let's rock it.
I know. This is fun. So when we started the Breakfast Club Beat during COVID, we were doing this out of my husband's studio at our house in Nashville. And it was great that we were able to do that, but I just missed being in the room with people and having the ability to do exactly what we're doing right now. And you guys were so kind. I think I was like begging, please let me use your space. So thank you. We're going to get in here hopefully once a month and knock some really fun stuff out for our members and for the Charlotte community. And I can't thank you all enough for allowing me to come in and do this. So we're going to be bragging about the Brand Builder podcast a lot on this show.
Well, thank you, Jen. We're honored that you would even want to be over here hanging out with us, you know?
Hanging out with you. I love hanging out with you. What are you talking about?
And I don't know how we're going to keep this like 20, 30 minutes
I know,
because
right?
you and I, when we get on the phone, it's like a 2-hour-long conversation.
It always is. It's like,
and we're not recording those.
Nope, we most certainly are not. So, okay, we got to get into a little bit about Dunstan Group, because one of the things we're trying to do with this podcast is really give our members an opportunity to hear more about what our members are doing, and also for people in Charlotte that might not be familiar. I think the entire community knows you, but there might be one or two out there that don't know what Dunstan Group is and what you guys do.
We're a growing city, so there are tons of folks that don't know who we are. We have a lot of work to do in that arena. But what we do is we provide platforms for your logo, essentially. So we help folks build their brand through the use of product. What that means is swag, stuff we all get, right? But we do it the right way. We dive into folks' brand. We want to understand their guidelines, their objectives, their budgets, their audience, who these products are going to, and really be a creative teammate or partner in that process for them and help them really get big pats on the back when folks are receiving their goodies, right? And what we find is everybody loves swag. So we have fun. It's a great business. We're very fortunate to be really engaged in Charlotte and Hood Hargett Breakfast Club. And Brian might have a little bit to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, I just think in the world that we live in, you know, everything needs to be very intentional and it needs to be able to create purpose. And we have a unique medium that's a $30 billion industry. There's a lot of people that do what we do. There's a lot of options that you have out there. But I think what really sets us apart is creating that personalized, really execution from the beginning, right? Reverse engineering a process, understanding really what are you trying to achieve. And marketing's all about results. Well, a lot of people in our world just want to slap a logo on something, want to get it to you cheaper. We don't think that way, right? We're more of, and I don't even want to use the word premium because then people are like, oh, they're expensive. But we create that relationship where we truly understand who you are as a person. We become your friend. We become a fan of your brand. And the more that we dive into your brand, the more that we can execute in the future. So examples would be if you had a really unique event, our creative team wants to know all about it. Who's going to be there? Why are we even putting a logo on something? You know, I love when I talk to somebody and they'll be like, oh, I need to get an item for a trade show. And I'll just say, why? And they're like, well, what do you mean? You're the logo guy. You put logos on things. I'm like, Well, I do, but if you are just slapping a logo on something because you need to give something away, you're really not thinking about it the way that you probably think about other areas of your business. As we continue to grow and continue to add, all these crazy technologies and AI, successful businesses are going to be the ones that continue to adapt, continue to change. And if you work with a partner like the Dunstan Group, we're the ones that will challenge you and get those great ideas, get those new brands, understand what is retail doing and how can we take your brand and make it awesome? How can we create a hat that your neighbor walks out and is like, dude, I want one of those hats. Well, that hat has your logo on it. If you have a logo from your company or your brand or your nonprofit and your friend doesn't want to wear it, you didn't do it the right way. So it's really just about creating that experience. And then I think Scott Dunstan's done an amazing job of creating purpose through our business. And we're so involved in the community and it comes down to one thing, we care. Like we just care about everything we do. And I think that's what really sets us apart.
Great work, man.
I know, right?
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I think he just took your job as like
I did not take
CEO
his
of
That's
job.
perfect. That's exactly what I want to happen.
I do agree with you on several things that you said, Brian. When you said you want to become someone's fan, I really do feel that Dunstan does a great job of diving in to learning as much as they can about that business or that nonprofit or that particular event that's coming, so that you have that foundation laid correctly on how to bring the creative side into it. And I feel that you're doing it on a level that no one else is.
Can we talk about the project during COVID with the breakfast
yeah,
where we
let's-
sent the
let's go
boxes?
there. Do it.
Because that displays what we're all about, right? You and tell your end, and then I'll tell how we sort of incorporated the product, right?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. So I remember Brian and I were on a call, and we were really trying to think about what is something that we can do to show love and to show how much we care. And when we were in a time where people were stuck at home and so many people, you had a range of emotions every day, right? And we thought about, man, we want to show love. And I remember I called Brian and I said, I got it. I said, it's February. And this was in December, end of the year after Christmas. And I said, let's do something to brand around Valentine's and the whole month of love. And then I'm going to let you take it from there.
well, that was actually a different project than I was thinking of, but yeah, like the love box, right? Like, let's come back to that. But the breakfast, where we actually sent breakfast in a branded box.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
With the local coffee and whatever else was in the box. But
yeah, we took breakfast out and we did
That's
our,
right.
breakfast on video.
We had
that
to do it
morning.
virtually, and you were still trucking like right along, like COVID, wasn't even a factor. The way you pivoted and sort of took our group through that whole experience was fantastic and made the best of the situation, right? But that particular morning, you wanted everyone to still have their breakfast. So we included all the items that were non-spoiling items that were packaged accordingly along with coffee in a branded box, and we direct mailed it to every member so that they had it in time for that breakfast. And then there was the love box.
Yeah.
And Brian, since he was more involved with that project, but it won us a national award, actually, the love box. So I'm glad you brought that up too.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, the love box was a great example. And I can thank Jen because, what was one of the first things that got cut from the budget during COVID was marketing, right? So, our small business, we had done such a good job to build up to where we were at that point, and then it all stopped. You go from being busy, and how am I going to get all these emails answered to I only got 12 emails this day.
The whole week.
That's a scary. That's the whole week. I got PTSD.
Felt like we were starting over, literally. It's crazy.
And we had to get super creative. So, we were honored that you gave us the opportunity to truly connect with really every single member. And I think the unique thing about that project was that we got to work with every individual client and really try to come up with a product or an idea that really emphasized kind of who they were as a company, right? Or maybe what they brought to the table. And then you got to open up this box that was literally 3 feet long by 2 feet. Thing was massive. And there's just all this swag in there. And that was a really cool experience. We even got the opportunity to pack it all together over at Hood Hargett. But that's kind of what we're all about when we come together and create things. And I think that's really the fun thing of our job. I love what I do, right? I've had the ability to create purpose. And I look at our business as a walking billboard. Gail will love this, right? Because she's a billboard person. They're great at creating purpose through their visual or through their medium, which is a billboard. What I do in every single project, I want to challenge the people that I work with that I'm not going to throw your logo or your story on an item if it's not something that we would do, right? I am not in the trinkets and trash business. I'm not in anything go in the trash business. I am in the business of creating something that people want to wear, to use, to keep. The reality is now you can create something that has a logo on it that nobody ever thinks it's branding. They think it's truly a gift. And then they never forget about you. And if you find that product and that item and it's all about really being intentional, when those people do that, guess what? They come back.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's fun. And the people that we do work with, you start to really build up that rapport. And now when a new item comes in or a new brand, it's like, oh, well, Jen's going to love this, right? And then we can proactively approach that. So for us, it's like we want to make it easy, but we want to make it fun. And the bottom line is when we say we're going to do something, we do it. And if we don't, we're going to fix it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
You just made me think of something. Scott, I'm going to let you answer this. So if you're someone for a company that looks at your industry as someone who you're just the T-shirt guy or the pen guy, the keychain guy, and they've not had the opportunity to look at it differently or have had someone kind of help them through the process of how do I look at this as a creative project. How do you go into that particular company and try to get them to look at it different when they've done it like this for 10, 20 years?
Great question. Brian mentioned reverse engineer, right? We kind of work backwards on that type of thing. And one way, like we've invested pretty heavily in this studio and in our showroom and our office, which is right here in Midtown Charlotte, pretty convenient to most businesses in Charlotte. So, we're in the nucleus of the city, essentially. So when we, versus going and seeing them, we will do that, but we find a ton more value if they come and see us. And the reason why is we have thousands of products around. What we offer is very tangible. It oftentimes requires trying something on to make sure it's the right gear for you. So that alone is very different. A lot of our competition will send a catalog and say, hey, tell me what you want. We don't do that. Like we ask a lot of questions, we listen, we want to understand all the things we mentioned and then come to them with that creativity. But oftentimes too, we ask them like, hey, what have you seen out there? What have you received that you really enjoyed and that you still love today? If that's it, then, hey, let's replicate that. Sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So we ask those types of questions and get them thinking and then come to them with that creative piece. And now we have the ability to create virtuals and artwork. And when I first started in this business was year 2000, we couldn't even send a picture over a cell phone. You couldn't even send a text message. Nobody knew what that was. So, and even before my time in this industry, you were mailing artwork to the print shop. Like this was very manual process. So now we just have the ability, like within 24 hours, to have you a visual of your actual product, usually, depending on the product and what we're doing. But that's how we do it. Like it's a little different.
I absolutely agree. I love how when I've got an idea for something, I can come to you and I'm going to have several things that I can look at real quick and see if I'm going in the right direction with it or if we need to change up. How do you feel AI is playing into your industry and where do you see that going?
I can speak on that, and then Brian, you might have something to add, but it's changing so rapidly, right? And I think this is part of what we offer and who we are. We're very engaged and in tune with our supply chain, and we know what's trending, and we're engaged in our industry association. We're on boards. We're on cohort teams with our competition, our good competition. We're friends. We understand what they're doing in Chicago. We understand what they're doing in San Francisco. We learn from them, they learn from us. So I think with the AI topic, artwork, lots of cool things with catalogs and virtuals like we were talking about. Hell, I'm even using it for interview questions, right? Like, hey, tell me what we need to know about an account manager. Boom, it spits out 20 questions, and then you can just tweak it versus sitting there for hours, using it. So I think it's going to really rapid speed what we're doing. It's actually bridging some gaps between us and our suppliers with the way we order and the way we communicate with them. Catalogs, virtual catalogs, click of a button, graphic art. Like you can go now and there's some AI programs where you can say, hey, build me a sunshine with a tequila drink and a beach and a flag. And boom, it will spit it out like that. So it's going to really speed up the process. And those who are unwilling to explore it and try it, they'll get left behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, with AI, it's something that I've always been interested in. It's something that I couldn't tell you how it even works, right? It's absolutely insane. But I can tell you how we can implement that to support your business. And I think you can use Instagram as an example. Why is Instagram so successful? Because people are visual, right? They want to see their logo. What is it going to look like with my logo on it? What's it going to look like with my story on it? And now we have the ability to create these beautiful lookbooks that when we send these over to you, you're now as a marketing, let's say, great example, you're the head of marketing for an organization and you think this idea is phenomenal, but you got to sell that to the CEO. Well, guess what? If I send you over a proposal with a bunch of, here's a Shell logo and a Coca-Cola logo, and here's what Duke Energy did, good luck selling that. Now with the ability of creating something that isn't just a picture of a mug, it's a dude on top of a mountain drinking a mug out of your brand. Your CEO can now visualize, holy crap, that's unbelievable. That's so cool. They can think about that's us. That fits. So I think from a visual standpoint, AI is going to be great. I think also on the back end, look, we're in the custom business. Everything we do is custom. This is not turnkey. You can't just say, hey, this is what I want. We have art teams that are working around the clock. We have order fulfillments, our shops. Everybody is working to make this happen. Everything's custom. It's literally made from scratch. So AI, I think, is also going to speed up that process. And I'm excited. I just, as long as we can keep up, it's going to be on.
We can keep up.
Brian saying he's excited. Really? I love Scott and I. Scott and I will look at each other at an event and we know, here go, wind him up. Here he goes.
Hey, it's hard to find passion and great teammates. And that's, I think anyone listening to this podcast that's in business and small business, big corporations, small corporations are having trouble finding the right people. And we're very blessed that Brian's a part of this, and the creativity and the energy he brings is amazing. So, yeah, I love to see the passion.
I do too. We love you, Brian. We love it.
I'm crazy,
100%.
Straight up. It is what it is. Scott, very
100%.
even keel. I'm here for the ride. You know what I mean?
Balance,
You gotta have a hype.
It's great.
You gotta have a hype.
That's right.
Hype
So
man.
I want to touch on your podcast because your podcast has definitely inspired me to want to do the Breakfast Club beat. What I loved about, I wanted to hear the why behind when you decided to actually put this pen to paper and get in front of a microphone, because you don't really see people in the promo industry doing what you've done, let alone at the level you're doing, winning national awards, and you're about to do your 400th podcast.
That's crazy.
I know, isn't that crazy? So share a little bit with us on that.
So back to that, us being engaged in our industry and our suppliers and networking with others that are successful in doing what we do. There's one fella that was talking podcasts at an education session we went to in Vegas, and we were like, man, we like this. At the time, I didn't even hardly know what a podcast was 7 years ago, which doesn't seem that long ago, but if you rewind, they weren't that popular back then. They were, but it was more storytelling and whatnot. Folks weren't really incorporating it into business. And we just had this idea. We were like, you know, we work with so many cool brands and we help tell their story through product, but I think we have an opportunity to help tell their story through a podcast as well. And initially we thought, you know, no one's going to be interested if it's just Brian and I talking about product or industry stuff. So sort of back to our core values, let's put our clients first and let's create a platform for them to actually verbally tell their story, and we'll pump it through our channels, right? Emails, social, however we communicate it. And, you know, by putting others first, I think you always win, right? Like, so that mindset was the initial part of this. And along the way, I remember like folks were like, well, how do you make money at that? I was like, well, believe it or not, we're not even interested in that part of it. It's more about spending some time with our clients. And you put a microphone in front of somebody for 30 minutes, you learn a lot. There's no distractions from the cell phones, no nothing. And I think that's missing in today's world. So all of those things combined were part of the reason we did it. And what we've learned is we're never going to run out of content because there's so many cool people in and around Charlotte and then way beyond. So that's why we did it and why we keep doing it. And it's a win-win-win. And we like that whole trifecta win scenario where you win as a guest, we win as the sponsor and the ones learning from you and spending time with you and putting it out there. And then if it's a nonprofit, if someone needs to be connected with, say, 24 Hours of Booty or Ronald McDonald House or whomever, we then have that relationship and can bridge that gap, and then that person wins. So that's the win trifecta. And that keeps happening through all the conversations we've had, so we keep doing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a burden, right? Like we have a lot going on without the podcast, and but it also helps connect dots, helps us stay engaged in our community, helps us give back, and you know what? It helps us develop business too, because it's not about us, but we're top of mind.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. I know Brian has something to add to that, but
yeah,
let's hear it.
Brian, quiet.
I'm excited. So we started this August 25th of 2017. That was our first episode. We had a good friend on, Josh Jones, to discuss.
Love Josh.
Josh is great. To discuss the loss of his 7-year-old daughter, Libby, who passed away of cancer. And we had no idea what we were doing. We were both very nervous. I'm reading from a script. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm like, I don't even know how I have a microphone in front of me. But after that conversation, I really kind of driving home was like, man, that was really powerful. Like that can help another family that's going through this. And I'll never forget, I didn't have kids at that time. I now have a 6 and a 4-year-old. And so now it hits home a lot more to me. But I think throughout the last, 392 weeks, we've never missed a Friday. We've put an episode out every Friday since March 25th of 2017. We've been able to talk to so many people that are different than us. We've been able to talk to so many nonprofits, over 120. We've been able to connect our community to those stories. We've been able to talk to professional athletes and CEOs. And when you dive into somebody's story, everyone we have on, they've all gone through life, and everybody's life is different, and everybody has their own challenges. And some of the people that come on our podcast, you might just look at them on Instagram or look at them on LinkedIn or see that they're a CEO and just think, well, their life's great. They probably have all this money. They were just given the spoon. But the reality is most of these people have failed a lot more than they've been successful. And the word that comes to mind for me is perspective. And I think one of the most unique things that me and Scott have been able to achieve throughout this podcast is being able to have these conversations with people, maybe even on topics that we're ignorant to, right? Topics that maybe we don't understand. I'll use an example as affordable housing, right? We had a podcast on that. It opened up my eyes, not only to the reasons around it, but what it does for me is it enables me to be a better husband, a better father, a better business person. It enables me not to worry as much about the small things. I don't give two crap if Joe bought a new car down the street, or if so-and-so's got a bigger house than me, or if so-and-so's quote unquote more successful than me, because I've been able to have these conversations with people that motivate me, that make me a better person, that make me realize how lucky I am to have 2 healthy kids, to have a beautiful wife, to have a house, right? And when you have these interviews and then you're able to share that with the community, it's so fascinating to see the people that you can connect throughout. I have a lot of people that ask me all the time, oh man, your podcast is so cool. Now look, for the first 100 episodes, people were like, why the hell are you doing that? Straight up. Like they were like asking, and we're like, you know, it is what it is. But now that we've done it for, everybody knows like that's kind of what we're known for. But people ask me all the time, I want to start a podcast. And now I just tell them, don't do it. Right? And the reason behind that is if you want to make a difference, you got to be committed, right? And that's why I'm so proud of you, Jen, for getting back on the horse, right? You understand the power that you have with Hood Hargett. You understand the power of the group, how amazing of an organization you've created, the stories that our organization as a whole, not only what we're doing in the community, but now you have the ability to connect that, right? And that's going to be the power of what this podcast can do. And it's just one of the most fascinating things that I've been a part of. I love it. I hope we do it forever. And it's been truly something that's changed my life.
Oh, thank you. Well, Scott's in it forever. He doesn't know.
I'm in it.
He can't ever.
I'm in it
leave,
to win it, man. We're committed.
I appreciate you saying that because it was really important to me to bring this podcast back. I had to do it at the right time. I had to do it when I knew I could commit to this on a very consistent, as we've talked for several years, the consistency was going to be key, right? And I needed to get the pieces in place. And, you know, I feel like 2024 really teed up the season that we had in Breakfast Club was so phenomenal. And the content that we were able to deliver in so many ways that our members gave back in our community was mind-blowing. Like I would have to just sit down sometimes and think, I can't believe this just happened. I can't believe we pulled this off, or our members were able to make this happen in 6 days. And I just was able to constantly reflect, and I knew this was the time. And you guys were so gracious to allow me to do this here, because this is where I hope to find great success in your place. And I do really hope that we will create something with this that is an agent of connecting and another layer of learning and being better humans and finding other ways to be involved in this city that we love so much. So thank you.
You're going to do that for sure. And yeah, the key is consistency. Just show up, make it happen. Because when you start falling off and you don't have a scheduled program, people sort of find other things that they're listening to, you know, and that's why we do it every Friday.
Yeah.
It's all of, and anything marketing for that matter is all about consistency. And you can't like always put an ROI on everything you do. You just got to know that you're doing the right thing. And when you help others, great things happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I want to say
that's
one
all
thing,
about.
you know, I wanted to mention this, but one of the most powerful people that we ever had on our podcast was Dale Beatty with Purple Heart Homes.
We met him in Hood Hargett.
And met him in Hood Hargett. What a phenomenal individual. Started Purple Heart Homes, came on our podcast literally 8 days or 10 days after the podcast, he passed away. 2 young kids, wife. Yep. It was one of the most tragic things. I couldn't even believe it. And, you know, we had the ability to connect with Purple Heart Homes and his wife, and we actually released that podcast on the day of his funeral. I actually listened to it on the way to his funeral. And I listened to that podcast a lot. And I would challenge anybody, go listen to Dale Beatty from Purple Heart Homes. And this was 6 years ago. And everything he said in that podcast, and now what John Galena and their team have been able to do is absolutely unbelievable. It gives me chills thinking about it. But that, I always go back to that because it also gives you that perspective. You're never given another day. You don't know how long you will ever have with your loved ones. So the bottom line is this: stop bitching about things that don't matter. Focus on your family, your life. And from this podcast, we've been able to share that story. And I'm telling you, you just don't know. I just lost my father-in-law last year, and it sucks. And I just have this unique perspective that, like, today I'm going to make it the best day ever. And if you can do that, then life is going to be great.
Perfect way to end it.
Yeah,
and that was a great podcast, and we do love Dale. And his
Amazing.
entire family and Purple Heart Homes. They have such a special place in all of our hearts. So
They
Absolutely.
sure do.
this is a great way to end it up. And I knew I had to talk to the two of you on our first official day back of doing the Breakfast Club beat.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It is exciting.
And I'm proud of you.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
proud of
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
It's going to be neat. Like we've had a lot of Hood Target members on, but even members maybe we had on 3 or 4 years ago, things change
Absolutely.
so much, right? And I think it's going to be so cool to figure out, those unique stories that connect it. Because Jen, you and Chuck and everybody in Hood Target have created something that truly is unbelievable. And I look at the amount of friends that I've been able to have. People always ask me, what's it like to be in the Dunstan group? And I'm like, well, it's pretty amazing. I have a purpose. My own personal brand has grown so much, but a lot of that is just being involved in Hood Target. Becoming friends with people that are change makers in this city. I mean, I get invited to do things that I'm like, I should not be invited to do this. This is so freaking cool. And I don't know why.
Yeah,
Maybe
thank you,
people
Jen.
like me, but like you've created a true family where if I see any member outside of Hood Target, we're not just being like, oh, hey, what's up? Everybody's hugging. We're all texting each other. And it's unbelievable. So you should be so proud of that. And thank God you came back. You know what I mean? This girl
Yes.
left us.
Thank you. I'm glad I came back too.
She back. She back in
Yeah,
full
you're
force.
not going anywhere either.
Better than
Jen.
ever.
How about that? How
No,
about
no,
that?
no.
Better than ever.
I
Well,
love
this
it.
was fun, guys. Thank you. And
a lot
thanks
of
for
fun.
thanks for letting me invade your space
100%.
Thank you. Glad you
Anytime.
and
did.
be on the other side this time.
It's awkward, but I'm having fun.
Yeah, I
Great
got
time.
one. I got one more thing to say. If you know Jen, you don't say no to Jen. Okay, so let's be realistic. I did make one announcement. Yeah, you don't say no to Jen. I'm going to point at the camera. She made an announcement in front of the whole room, like we were opening this door in this podcast studio up to everybody, and I had to quickly say, "This is only for Jen Snyder Gibson. This is not open for everyone."
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
fun.
I love it.
Enjoyed it.
All right, we'll see ya.